Public transport in New Zealand exists in many of the country's urban areas and takes a number of forms. Bus transport is the main form of public transport. Two major cities, Auckland and Wellington, also have suburban rail systems that have been gaining more patronage and new investment in recent years. Some cities also operate local ferry services. There are no remaining tram. Once had a major role in New Zealand's public transport. The use of public transport in New Zealand is low. According to the 2013 New Zealand census, 4.2% of those who worked travelled to work by bus, 1.6% travelled by train, and more than 7 in 10 people travelled to work in a vehicle they drove themselves. The household travel survey proportion of public transport trips was even lower at 2.3% in 2013-14. These figures are for the whole of New Zealand and include centres that may have limited or no public transport. However, use of public transport was higher in major cities, which have more developed systems. In Wellington City, 16.8% of workers travelled by bus, more than twice as many as the next highest, Auckland City. In 2001, Wendell Cox, a public policy consultant, described the Auckland Regional Council's plan to increase public transport to the downtown area to 20% of total share as a simply unachievable goal. He also described as a fantasy Christchurch's plans for an increase to 10 to 15% by 2018. As can be seen from this table, there has been minimal increase over 5 years. Public transport mode percent of total trip legs by region. More up-to-date figures are available for numbers of bus passengers, which show declines in most areas outside the main cities. Buses are the most common form of public transport in New Zealand, making up the majority of trips in every city that has public transport. Intercity and Skip Bus are the only companies operating city-to-city bus transportations. They are followed by trains, which are found in Wellington and Auckland. Ferries also play a role, mainly in Auckland but also in other cities. Trams in New Zealand, while once common in many cities and towns, now survive only as heritage displays. Cable cars have also been employed. The Dunedin cable tramway system was both the second and second last to operate in the world, while the Wellington cable car is now a funicular. Public transport in Auckland is managed by Auckland Transport, ACCO of Auckland Council, under the Metro brand. It consists of buses, trains, and ferries. The Auckland public transport system is New Zealand's largest by total passenger volume, although not by trips per capita. Buses are the most widely used form of public transport in Auckland. They are operated by a number of companies, including NZ Bus, Ritchie's Transport, Howick and Eastern Buses, Go Bus, YK Bus Company, Pavlovich Coach Lines and Transurban Auckland. The route network is dense, covering all parts of the Auckland urban area. Auckland also has a commuter rail system, one of two in the country. The system uses AM-class electric trains. Following the electrification of the Auckland rail network in 2014, there are 4 lines, designated Western Line, Onehunga Line, Southern Line, and Eastern Line. The trains are operated by Transdev Auckland. Ferries also play a significant role in Auckland's transport network, more so than in other New Zealand cities. Ferries travel between the city centre and a number of destinations, including several points on the North Shore, Half Moon Bay, Waiheke Island, Rangitoto Island, and Great Barrier Island. The largest operator is Fuller's 360 Group. Auckland, like many others in New Zealand, previously operated trams. The first, horse-drawn, ran in 1884. Electric trams were introduced in 1902, operating until 1956. The Museum of Transport and Technology subsequently constructed a 2 km heritage line linking its 2 sites and Auckland Zoo. A tourist-oriented tram service has operated at Wynyard Quarter since 2011. The Christchurch public transport system is based principally around buses, although the city also has a ferry service and a heritage tramway. The services are operated under the Metro brand by bus companies Red Bus and Go Bus. Administered by the Regional Council, Environment Canterbury, buses operate to all parts of the Christchurch urban area, including Littleton. There are also services to outlying towns such as Rangiora, Lincoln, and Burnham. There are around 40 routes in total. A free shuttle in the central city with hybrid electric design line buses was formerly operated. until the 2011 Christchurch earthquake. Since the 12th of November 2007, Christchurch has been carrying out the first New Zealand trial for bikes on buses, which amongst other things gives cyclists access through the Littleton Road Tunnel. A ferry service operates between Littleton and Diamond Harbour, a small settlement on the opposite side of Littleton Harbour. Christchurch used to operate an extensive tram network, but this service was discontinued.